So solving equations involving percent. I went to get winter gloves. Every time I go outside in this weather, my hands are cold. And the gloves these were $80 with 30% off. So how much going to cost me to buy them, not counting taxes, if I want to buy these gloves? The question becomes, if you want to find the discount, what is 30% of 80? That will give me equals my discount. So this is really equal my discount. This is 30% off. If you remember, in math, of means multiplying. So it becomes 30%, you're going to change it to a decimal number. How do you change it to a decimal number? 0.30, correct. You move the decimal point. There is no decimal, it's really at the end. You move it 2 places to the left. 0.30 of means multiply times 80 equals x, unknown. Since both of these numbers are on the same side, you multiply them out. What's 0.30 times 80? That's 24 equals x. That's my discount. So my discount for the gloves is 24. So what is the cost for the gloves now? 80 minus the discount, which is 24. Is that $56? So those discounts will be $56. Let me try another problem. Let's say you get your excise tax on a car. You get the bill in the mail, and the excise tax is $250. That's your excise tax. You say, I wonder what my car is worth. Well, the 250 is, and somebody told me the excise tax is 2.5%. 2.5% of the value of your car. They try to approximate what the value of your car is. Take 2.5% of that number, and that's what your excise tax is. So if your excise tax is $250, can you figure out the value of your car? Well, let's see. 250 is 2.5% of. Of means what? Multiply. And this is the value of the car, which is unknown. $250 is equal. I forgot to write equal for is. Point. You're going to move the decimal point 2 places. 0, 2, 5 times x. Notice that looks like a linear equation we did in section 2.2. When you have multiplications, what is the opposite to multiplications? You're going to divide, and you're going to divide by the number next to x. So I need to divide both sides, because I want to solve for x. I need to divide both sides by 0.025. X equals 250 divided by 0.025. You divide them, and that you were right, it's $10,000. So the assessor's office have the car worth $10,000. That's why your excise tax is $250. Let's take another example. Let's say you want to see your doctor. Dr. I don't know, Smith. And you stopped at the office, Z sent me, told me to come see you. Oh, Z is a friend of mine. So I said, okay, well, what's the matter? He goes, well, my tooth is bothering me. Now, we're going to pull that tooth out. I'm going to give you 10% off because you know Z of the cost. At the end of the visit, you go to pay him and say, so what do I owe you then? He goes, you owe me $136 even. So this is what you paid. This is what you paid your doctor. Not the discount, this is what you paid. You have some work done on your tooth. You chipped a tooth, you got to fix it, and you go, what do I owe? It's $136. He gave you 10% discount because you know me. So then what was the original price? If you don't know me, what would you pay? How much? Would you pay $200? $150, $175, what's the price? So we go, if you're getting a 10% discount, that's your discount. 10% discount. So that's your discount. Then what did you pay? What percent of the cost did you pay? Did you pay 80%? 70%? 90%. So you paid 90% of the cost. That's what you paid, which happens to be $136. So 90%, that's 0.90. Of means multiply. I'll use C for the cost. Equals 136. So to solve for C, what are we going to do? We're going to divide both sides of the equation by what? 0.90. So the cost, if you don't know me, if you just walked in, you said, my mouth is killing me, I chipped a tooth, can you fix it please? Are you a patient? No. Do you know anyone? No. No discount. Then you would have paid $151.11. Another example. Trying to give you some examples where the stuff might be used. You and I go out to eat with a few other people, and you decide you're going to pay the bill. I say, you know what? Okay, I'll pay the tip. So I didn't see the bill. I paid the tip. And I said to you, how much tip should I leave them? Because you have the bill. I didn't see it. You go, leave them $37 tip. So I want to know what was the cost of that meal. 37 is, remember the tip is what? 20%, most people? 20% of what? The bill. We'll use X. The $37 I paid is actually the 20% of the meal. How much it costs us to purchase that meal? Again, is means equal. Of means multiply. $37 equals 0.20x To solve for x, that's a multiplication. We're going to do what? Divide, bless you, by 0.20. X equals what? What was it? 185 bucks. So the bill was for 185 bucks. You paid the 185. I paid the tip 37, the 20%. You might hear in the paper, or you see in the paper, you hear on the news that 13% of the people of Springfield live below poverty level. And I gotta give you some numbers. Let's assume in Springfield, we know the population is 50,000 people. I have no idea. Assume the population of Springfield is 50,000 people. If 13% of the 50,000 people live below poverty level, so how many people in Springfield are living below poverty level? 13% of 50,000 is what? 13%, 0.13, of means multiply, and this is 50,000.
153,000.
Is it? Oh, so we'll go 150. Googled it?
Yeah.
It says 153,000. Let's say 150,000 people live in Springfield. So if 13% of them live below poverty level, let's see what that number is. $19,500 people are living below poverty level. Here's a fact here. Only 60% of people who take the pre-algebra, algebra pass the course. Only 60% of the students, the algebra students, pass the course. At STIC, that's what the number is, roughly 60%. So I just happened to get the number. I know how many sections we have. So we have 60% of 1,144 students will pass the course. So how many of these 1,144 people who take the algebra pass it? 0.60 of means multiply. 1,144. Round it to a whole number, or round it to nearest whole number. It says 686 people will pass the course. The algebra class. That's how many people pass it. How many will fail it then? If 1,144 people take the class and only 686 pass it, people who fail it is going to be what? 1144 minus 686. $458 people this semester will fail. 686 students this semester will pass, based on the previous study. I'll just make some questions. What percent of 9 is 6? What percent of 9 is 6? What percent is an unknown? X times 9 equals 6. Of is always times, is always equal. So 9x equals 6. To solve for x, we're going to divide both sides by what? By 9. Simplify that. Isn't that 2/3? But that's only a fraction. To change a fraction to percent, what do? Well, that becomes a decimal. So if you divide 2 by 3 is 0.66666 repeats. Still a decimal value, not a percent yet. To change it to a percent, what do? Yep, multiply by 100 or move a decimal point 2 places to the right. So if you move the decimal point 2 places to the right, what do you have? 66.666%. Or 200 over 3. So you're always going to move it 2 places to the right, or multiply by 100 to change the fraction to a percent, or the decimal to a percent. What is, let's say, financial aid here? Financial aid will give you 60% of the money that you need to go to college. What is 60% of, and let's say the tuition for you this semester at STIC is $2,400. This is unknown. Is equal 60%, 0.60. Of means multiply, and this is 2,400. So your financial aid is $1,440. That means you have to come up with a difference if you want to go to STCC. What percent of 25 is 3.5? What percent of 25 is 3.5? What percent is the unknown? Of means multiply. 25 is means equal 3.5. 25x equals 3.5. To solve it for x, I got to divide both sides by 25. which is 0.14. We're looking for percent. That's not percent, that's a decimal value. So to make it a percent, what do? Move the decimal point 2 places to the right and it becomes 14%, or multiply it by 100. Let's make the problem a bit more challenging here. Now, one more problem. Let's say I have with me $5,000. And I'm going to deposit that money in 2 accounts. Maybe I'll go Bank of America. That's Bank of America. And the other bank is Springfield Teacher Credit Union. Bank of America gives me 4% return on my money. Springfield Teacher Credit Union gives me 6% return on my money. Interest. My goal is at the end of the day, the end of the year, at the end of the year, my goal is to get $260 worth of interest. That's all I want. Not too greedy. I just want $260 worth of interest. Why? Because at the end of each year I get a bill for $260. I want that account to pay it. And that's all I wanted. So I don't have to pay any money myself. You take the money from the account and pay it, and next year do the same thing. The question is, how much money should I put in each account to get that $260? We have no idea how much to put in Bank of America, so let's call that amount here X.
Or you could just put it all in the STCU and keep the rest.
Well, that might be a problem. Maybe you have no access to that money. That's a long term, so if you ever need it, you're in trouble. All right? Ideally, you want to get more return, but some of these, that gives you more return, they have a restriction on them. You can't take the money when you want it. Where this, if I need a quick cash, I can go and take it. That's usually the catch to them. When they give you a big return, that means the money is locked in for a longer period of time. So if I put X dollars here, how much are you going to put at the Springfield Teacher Credit Union then? Remember, you had $5,000 in a paper bag. If I put $2,000 in Bank of America, how much are you going to put Springfield Teacher Credit Union? 3. How'd you come up with 3?
5 minus 2.
5 minus 2, exactly. If I put 4,000 here, you're going to put what? 1. 5 minus 4. So if I put X dollars here, how much are you going to put in that one?
X.
Not X. How about 5,000 minus X? All the money minus whatever you put with Bank of America. Now I have to give you the equation for interest. Interest usually principal times rate times time. Time here is 1 year, so it's not really a factor. So the interest for 1 year is principal times rate. So from Bank of America, the interest is going to be 0.04 or 4%, which is 0.04 times X. Add to it the interest from the Springfield Teacher Credit Union, which is 6%, 0.06 times the amount. And you want all of that to equal what? $260. The interest from Bank of America plus the interest from Springfield Teacher Credit Union, if you add them, you want it to be $260. So that becomes my equation. How would I solve this one now? I can distribute that one through I think that's 300.06 times 5,000. 300 minus 0.06x equals 260. Let's look at the left side. Let's collect like terms. What's 0.04 minus 0.06? 0.04 minus 0.06.
-0.02.
Yep. Negative 0.02x. Rules don't change. All the x's on one side, all the numbers on the opposite side. Take this one there. Comes in negative. 260 minus 300. Negative 40. 260 minus the 300 is negative 40. Now to solve for x, we're going to divide by negative 0.02. A negative divided by a negative is always a positive. What is 40 divided by 0.02? $2,000. So Bank of America, you're going to deposit $2,000. Springfield Teacher Credit Union, you're going to deposit what? $3,000. You do that, and you get your $260 a year of interest.